presented by BSC, Investors Protection Fund.
Alright, just about 30 minutes to go before we close out the week and the day, and it's a remarkable turnaround on the street that we've seen. Shubham Agrawal joins in and he studies the technicals. He's from Motilal Oswal. Shubham, what do you think has been happening? How do you read the last half an hour?
If you look at the last half an hour movement, Nifty has taken support at an important trend line on the daily chart, which is placed around 5860 to 5870. So we expect that level, which is also a multiple bottom that we have seen on the Nifty, that can act as a temporary support for the market. But if you look at the overall perspective of the market and the overall setup, there is a good possibility of market breaking below that support area, because the pattern that was there earlier of a channel, and we saw a breakdown happening from that around 59806000. That was the first development which was indicating that the market can start moving lower. Most of our statistical model are also indicating that India might get into an underperformance and the fund flow can get shifted from India to markets like US and Brazil. So we expect that a temporary pullback is something which is due after the downside that we have already seen. But 5950 and 5970, if Nifty is able to reach around that level, that should be used as a selling opportunity.
Right, Shubham, let's just take a look at some of the stocks that are also trading or are in focus today. Now, on the large cap side, we do have a few gainers coming in the last few minutes, in fact, as Surabhi pointed out. But on the downside as well, we're continuing to see pressure, and that's really where I want to draw your attention. KN India today is down about 2.5%. Dr. Reddy's is down almost 3% in today's trade. That's also post-number impact coming in, but still, for that counter, quite a bit of a cut. DLF we have been talking about. When it comes to some of these heavyweights, particularly, let's say, a DRL or a KN, what's your call?
Yes, if you look at the setup of KN, there is a very important support of 302 on that stock. It went below that on an intraday basis, but now it has recovered marginally out of that. But that does not improve the setup. So what we expect is that the support of 302 can be taken out in another some trading sessions, and the stock can be headed towards 270. So with a short-term target to medium-term target of 270, I think investors should look to go short on the script, and a stop loss for the trade can be kept at 315, which is the pattern swing high that was formed some time back. If you look at the setup of Dr. Reddy, yes, the stock was breaking out from its all-time high, but that level did not sustain. So a very important support was placed at 1860, which has already broken down today. So we expect another 3-4% correction in Dr. Reddy, but with a long-term perspective, the stock still looks good. And after a correction of 3-4%, I think we would be looking for going long on Dr. Reddy Labs.
Right. Just talking about some of the pharma names, Devang, what have you made of the earnings? Because both Cipla and Reddy, there were some question marks about the numbers. The market's consolidating. Would you look at buying any of the pharma names here?
Yeah, we will be quite stock specific in the pharma space. We saw diverse set of earnings for a lot of such companies. I think Ranbaxy earnings are still awaited, but probably what we saw from Cipla and Dr. Reddy's, this companies reported different set of numbers because a lot of problems were emerging among launching US generics in the Dr. Reddy's case as well as in Cipla. There were a little bit of operational efficiency issues. So I think we remain positive on both of these stocks. Cipla remains our top pick with a target price of around rupees 465, and Dr. Reddy's also we will buy on all dips. We would rather recommend and accumulate at these levels.
All right, let's also go across to Jonathan, find out what's happening in Europe. Jonathan, how are things looking?
Not too great. European equities are trading low. We spoke to the German central bank governor Jens Weidmann. He said the ECB would not target exchange rates. The euro spiked on that news, but has now given up the gains. A bit of risk aversion in these markets. Looking ahead to the G20, it's going to be all about currencies. Let's talk about gold, though. It's the world's this year's worst performing precious metal, trading near 2013 lows and coming off the biggest drop in the fourth quarter for almost 9 years. And it seems to be losing its luster with the big players. Billionaire hedge fund legend George Soros is back in the headlines. We spoke about him yesterday. The Wall Street Journal reported his fund had made about $1 billion on betting against the Japanese yen. While he's reaped the rewards on that trade, he's cutting exposure to exchange-traded products backed by gold. Soros Fund Management cut their holding in the SPDR Gold Trust by 55%. Now, that's the biggest fund backed by gold, and Soros is not flying solo on that move. Billionaire Louis Bacon's More Capital cut its entire stake in the fund and reduced exposure in the metal in another fund. A commodity strategist at VTB said quite simply, you can get better returns elsewhere. Back to you.
All right, thanks Jonathan for that. Yes, indeed, some very high-profile investors cutting their bets on gold, but then there are others like Mr. John Paulson who choose to stick on. All right, so that's what we've got on the international markets front. We'll take a quick break on that note and come back on the other side. The action and the talk continues right here on the Countdown.
Countdown, presented by BSC Investors Protection Fund.
Welcome back. Markets still flat, but they have recovered from the lows of the day, as you can see on the chart there. And, in fact, many of the stocks as well that were trading lower are gaining some ground. So definitely adding on to that gainers list this afternoon and easing back up towards 5,900 at least for now. Let's just talk aviation now. Shubham, we've got a couple of aviation stocks in news for completely different reasons. Jet, of course, continues to gain on the back of speculation of that deal closing anytime soon. On the other hand, Kingfisher has now really come down to a single-digit stock. It looks like the road is pretty much over. On the other hand, we've got news that perhaps the Diageo deal is going to go through, and maybe KFA will still come back with something for those lenders. How would you be playing both of those stocks right now?
I think if we have to compare between both of the script, I would choose Jet Airways because KFA is more like a gambling, and we expect that the stock can again move lower towards its earlier swing low that was created around 7 rupees. So that's a clear avoid. If you look at the setup of Jet Airways, it's not very promising with a long-term setup, but yes, the short-term setup seems like we can see another 5 to 6% appreciation. So with a stop loss around 580, I think one can look to go long on Jet Airways. There is a continuation pattern that has been developed, which is expected to break out on the upside. So Jet Airways clearly a buy, but only with a short-term perspective.
What do you think, Devang, on both those counters?
On purely a fundamental standpoint, I think we have always recommended our clients to avoid KFA, and we still continue to do so. The stock price coming from maybe 70-80 rupees to 9 rupees doesn't warrant a buy here, and there is no clarity at all from any front. Probably I think KFA's loss has always been Jet's gain in the last few months. So probably we feel Jet Airways is better placed, though I wouldn't again encourage anybody to fundamentally buy it for long term, though it would be a good trading bet maybe for a 3 month or 6 months horizon. Etihad deal going through probably would redirect the counter, and 10-15% gains from here on looks quite possible.
Okay, let's in fact get to the latest news on both those stocks. Mint has reported exclusively that Jet Airways board could be close to signing that Etihad deal by the weekend. PR Sanjay joins us on the phone line from Mumbai. PR, just take us through what you've learned.
I understand that Jet Airways board will meet this weekend, maybe tomorrow, to clear the deal. They are in talks with UAE's Etihad Airways for selling up 24% of its stake, and the deal is valued around 1.2 billion, which would mean Jet Airways will get around $300 to $350 million, and a formal announcement on this would be made in Abu Dhabi by the Etihad Airways board. The Etihad Airways already confirmed and convinced that this is a deal which is going to help them. So possibly by first half of next week, a formal announcement can be expected on this one.
Right. Thanks for that, PR. Now, after distancing United Breweries from the shadows of Kingfisher's financial mess yesterday, today the UB Group has come out and said that Diageo proceeds will be used to pay for Kingfisher's loans. Tanvi is joining us on that. Tanvi, take us through what you've learnt and what this means now going ahead for KFA.
Well, very interestingly, when the United Spirits and Diageo deal actually was taking place and there was a con call with Mr. Vijay Mallya, he had categorically said that the United Spirits deal is very different from how he is going to handle Kingfisher. There is absolutely no connection, even though the lenders were saying that they have been assured that the money that comes from the Diageo deal will be pumped into Kingfisher. And now it's exactly what the UB Group has also come out today and said, that they will use the proceeds from the stake sale of United Spirits to pump in some money into Kingfisher. Now, effectively this won't really make too much of a difference, because the debt for Kingfisher is about 8,000 crore rupees just to the lenders, plus the other debt to the employees as well as the vendors. What the proceeds could be from United Spirits will be 2,400 crore rupees to United Breweries Holdings. Of that, how much can they really put in Kingfisher is another question. But they've also gone ahead and distanced the entire United Breweries as a company from UBHL and Kingfisher, saying that Kingfisher as a brand can only be pledged to the lenders as Kingfisher Airline and not as the alcohol brand. So once you are valuing Kingfisher, it's not factoring in the Kingfisher alcohol brand really, and so United Breweries has really no exposure or has not really any mandate towards the Kingfisher lenders. So now the only option that is for the lenders of Kingfisher is to pressurize the UB management, Vijay Mallya and United Breweries Holdings to pump in some amount of money that comes in from Diageo. That is, whenever the
just hold that thought. We're just going to interrupt you for a second. As the GAIL management has started to speak, let's just cut across to that.
And as you know, every quarter after the quarterly results, we enjoy this opportunity of talking with you. So by now you must be knowing the numbers, but let me still repeat that. The third quarter 2012-13 turnover has been 12,474 crores as against 11,260 crore in the preceding quarter, which is a growth of almost 11%. Profit before tax PBT is 1,859 crore as against 1,598 crores, which is a growth of 16%. That profit after tax is 1,285 crores as against 1,091 crore in the corresponding previous quarter, which is a growth of almost 18%. Subsidy was 700 crores, which was also high by around 20% as against 536 crores in the corresponding previous quarter. As far as the physical performance is concerned, the transmission volume were low, as you know, because of the decrease in domestic gas production. The transmission volumes were 105 million standard cubic meter on average in the last quarter, which used to be 119 million standard cubic meter. Similarly, the LPG transmission was down, largely because of the shutdown at Kandla import terminal of IOC. Natural gas trading also, because of the reduction in supply from Panna Mukta Tapti field, was down from 85 million standard cubic meter, it is 82 million standard cubic meter, means which is down by 4%. However, petrochemical sale as well as production was up by 13%. It was 128 as against 113 in the corresponding previous quarter. So these are just brief number as far as the performance is concerned. The largely growth has been because of the higher price, because of the foreign exchange, dollar versus rupees rate being higher, as well as a good price realization, both from petrochemicals and the LPG segment. In the case of petrochemical, the average realization was almost 80,000 rupees per ton as against 73,000 in the corresponding previous quarter. LPG 55,000 rupees a ton as against 40,000 rupees a ton, and other liquid hydrocarbons are also in the same range. So these are the major reason for growth as well as the realization. Now, apart from these financial numbers, let me just give you some important development. Some of them you know, but since we are summing up the quarter, let me sum up that again. Commissioning of Dabhol LNG terminal. We, with your support and the support of all the stakeholders, GAIL was recently granted Maharatna status, for which the entire GAIL team thanks all the stakeholders, including our friends from media. Last week I was in the United States. We signed a gas overall framework agreement MOU with EDF, Electricity de France Trading Company, which is subsidiary of EDF France. As far as the physical performance is concerned, we commissioned Ludhiana to Jalandhar spur pipeline. So now this pipeline has reached as far as Jalandhar. Last time when we met, it was at Ludhiana. Similarly, the leg from Saharanpur to Haridwar has also been commissioned, and you will be happy to know people used to call SBJ as Energy Ganga, Urja ki Ganga. You know, some politician used to say the energy. So we have now really reached Haridwar, right? So the gas has reached Haridwar. As far as gas sourcing is concerned, we sourced 3 cargoes in the last quarter. One of them went for commissioning of Dabhol, and 2 cargoes went for merchant sale. I think these are the broad development which happened. We have also drawn ECB loan of $300 million, which was earlier sanctioned, but we could not draw it. We didn't need to draw it at that time. And the overall borrowing in the company today in this financial year is 3,800 crores. And
Scale having a decent run at least this quarter. The market seems to be excited about the numbers. Devang, wonder if you have any thoughts on Gas Authority?
Yeah, in fact, I think this sector seems to be related for the coming season, for the coming year. In fact, I think we have seen a good set of earnings from a lot of companies, starting from, I think, Oil India looks brilliantly placed, ONGC looks good. I think all these companies are slated to benefit from the oil and gas sector reforms that the government has started doing. The impact of partial deregulation, diesel deregulation is in fact coming down to a lot of such stocks like the OMCs as well as Oil India, ONGC, GAIL. I think yes, this sector is in for interesting times, and GAIL, Oil India, ONGC, all this will remain our top pick for some times.
Okay, that's the call coming in on some of those stocks. Shivam, while we're of course on the oil and gas pack, let me also get a comment from you on some of the OMCs. We've got news that, you know, as anticipated, we might see another 50 paise price hike on the diesel front. What's your call on some of the OMCs right now?
Yes, if you look at the setup of most of the stocks in the energy space, they are looking good, but you have to be really choosy about the stocks that you are picking. So if you look at BPCL, the long-term perspective, if you look at the long-term setup, the stock is looking really good from the current level. But yes, the short-term charts are bad, and that is not suggesting us exact points where we should take an entry. So I think we should wait for some more sessions till we have a better clarity. For the time being, if you look at the overall energy space rather than the oil marketing companies, I would prefer ONGC, which has a much promising setup, and on the medium term to long term basis, we feel that the stock can even move up towards C80.
Well, there's plenty of buzz about the possibility of another round of hikes both on petrol and diesel. Our colleague Satrajit sends us the latest from Delhi. Satrajit.
Well, since the cabinet mandated the fact that there will be a marginal increase, or the oil marketing companies will be allowed to continue with a marginal increase in the diesel prices from last month onwards for the next 11 months, the point is that the oil marketing companies, as we learn, will do it nevertheless, whatever the review is and whatever the situation. However, so that the oil marketing companies will still get down together to take a look at what the situation is as far as diesel loss or under recovery is concerned, and going ahead for this month at least they will be doing another 50 paise per litre hike, which is imminent, probably over the weekend or by next week for sure it will happen. The review of the situation will begin today as they will get together, get their heads put together. And another important bit is on the petrol bit, there is a consideration that the oil marketing companies might again increase price, keeping in mind that they have come out open to clear the air that they are at this juncture seeing about 675 crore rupees of overall loss on petrol. So these two hikes, though the quantum as to at what price petrol will be hiked is still not known, these two hikes are imminent and may take place. The diesel for sure will be taking place. However, an important point to be noted here is that, over the last month, though they had increased by diesel prices by 45 paise a litre, the benefit that they've seen with the current increase in crude prices, it has now been washed away, and they're saying that with this marginal 45 to 50 paise hike, it will not really go ahead and make up for the loss that they're seeing currently, which stands about 9 rupee 20 2 paise per litre. So over the entire year, they expect to make up about 5 to 6 rupees and reduce the gap by that amount. But the situation will linger on and needs to be seen how things pan out going ahead.
Right, Satyajit. Well, the latest numbers simply don't look all that great despite the partial deregulation of diesel. That's not really showing up in the under recovery picture. George is here with the details. George.
Well, it's highly essential that they would have to hike either the diesel or petrol price at this point in time, considering the fact that under recoveries have also shot up in the last 1 month or so. In fact, OMCs are losing currently close to 443 crores on the sale of diesel, LPG and kerosene. When you compare to last month at the same point in time, it was somewhere around 389 crores. So major jump as far as the under recoveries are concerned on a daily basis, especially in the last 1 month or so. The main culprit as far as this is concerned is domestic LPG, which stands at currently 481 rupees a cylinder, which is the current under recoveries. A month back it is just under 400 rupees a cylinder. So clearly that's adding to the worries, considering the fact that the cap on LPG cylinders has been hiked from 6 to 9, the subsidized cylinders from 6 to 9. So clearly that is also adding to the under recovery burden of the overall under recovery burden at this point of time. Kerosene stands at around 31 rupees litre at this point in time, pretty much unchanged. Even diesel, as far as under recoveries are concerned, pretty much at the 9 rupees a litre level, which is also which one can actually witness a major drop if you compare it to 3 or 4 months back, where it was clearly at the 13 to 14 rupees a litre levels. So, but clearly, as I mentioned, it is the under recovery on LPG that is one of the key factors going forward. And as far as petroleum is concerned, in the first half of FY13, OMCs lost as much as 2,000 crores, and clearly a month back it was just pretty much at the break-even level. And now with the crude prices going up as much as 11% in the past 1 or 2 months, it's clearly eminent that the petrol price hike is also essential to curb the under recoveries on petroleum at this point of time as well. A few mathematics as far as the diesel price hike is concerned. A 1 rupee hike in diesel can actually cut subsidy laws to the tune of almost 200 crore. And as far as the inflation is concerned, analysts such as BofA ML expect 120 basis point impact on the FY14 inflation, particularly from the last diesel hike. So further diesel hikes can only add on to the inflation, especially in the FY14 time period.
Thanks for that, George. Okay, let's move on to some of the other stocks in news this afternoon as well. We've been talking about several of those frontliners. Let's also take a look at some of the mid-caps that are in focus today. We've got stocks like an IRB, of course, that are down slightly in trade today after the recent run-up. We've got Wockhardt on the back of numbers, also seeing some amount of activity coming in there. Suzlon has, of course, been in focus. It's been climbing on the charts, but we've got numbers coming in now, and a net loss for the counter, and quite a bit there, 1,154 crore rupees. Shubham, any of those mid-cap counters showing up on your radar?
Yes, IRB, we have been tracking that stock, and today it broke down from an important support area of around 112. But what we saw just now is that there is a very sharp recovery that has happened in the late trading session, but that does not improve the setup of the stock. So even after the pullback that has happened today, I think that this pullback should be used as a selling opportunity. Medium-term to long-term target that we see for the scrip is around 85 rupees. So a decent, depreciation from the current level is what is expected. So one can definitely look to sell the scrip even at the current level. Looking at Suzlon, the scrip is approaching an important support level that is placed around 20. So we would not advise to go short on that. Neither we can advise to buy that scrip. So I think one should avoid Suzlon because the long-term setup is something which is not very promising.
There's a curious rally of sorts taking place on sugar stocks, particularly on Balrampur Chini. Just check it out, 8 to 9% higher. It's surging away to the highest level of the day as we are heading towards the close. It's got company in the form of Sri Renuka Sugars. Look at that, a 10% move on Balrampur Chini. And then there's Renuka, which is looking smart. Other sugar stocks like Bajaj Hindustan and Dhampur, they're also managing gains, but nothing as spectacular as what Balrampur Chini is doing. Devang, any thoughts? I mean, there's a lot of talk on decontrol. Anything else that could be propelling this rally?
I think this clearly seems to be again the buzz of decontrol that is in fact urging the sugar stocks to in fact go up. Probably we think that this phenomenon lasts for normally 2 to 3 days for sugar stocks, but then again it subsides. So I think for a fundamental investor, I think sugar space has not done extremely well over the last few months or few years to say. So I think we will stay clear of this space, and rather than that, going in for a lot of fundamentally good stocks available. In fact, inside Nifty as as well as Sensex or the BSE 100. There are good stocks which have corrected 15, 20, 25%. So I think we would be buyers in them rather than going in for something in space.
Anything in the banking space that's standing out to you, Devang, particularly mid-cap banks that would be a buy right now?
Yeah, in fact, I think we would have clearly preferred the private banks more towards the PSU banks, and I think this time also the divergence among the earnings of this have clearly showed that the private sector banks would start to command, will still command some valuation premium. And among the mid-cap banks, we like Karur Vysya Bank, ING Vysya Bank, Karur Vysya Bank from a high of around, I guess, 550, 600 has corrected big time. So I think probably if somebody has a medium-term horizon of 3 to 6 months, banks like Karur Vysya Bank, IndusInd Bank, who is entering Nifty, also Yes Bank, all these banks looks to be better placed for trading gains as well as for investment gains.
Right, Shubham, share with us some of your picks before we let you go this week.
Yes, on the long side we are bullish on the overall IT sector. If you look at CNX IT, that is breaking out from a continuation pattern, so we expect that CNX IT can move higher by another 8 to 10% from the current level. With that view, we saw that TCS made an all-time high yesterday after a dual confirmation happening on the chart. So we expect the stock to move towards 1550 and a stop loss for the trade can be kept at 1398. Other than that, Crompton Greaves, this is a clear sell on the chart. We have seen that the stock was there in a descending triangle, and finally the support of 100 to 102, which was a very important support area, has got broken down. So we expect the stock to move lower towards 80. That's a main-term call that we are taking on the script, and a stop loss for the trade can be kept around 105.
Right, Shubham, thanks so much for joining us on the show today, this afternoon, and have a good weekend. Devang is still with us.